Jaya Kunja Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janvalabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janvalabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tire Vanachari Yamuna Tire Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jagannathai, Jagannathai, Baladevai, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Radha Vallabha, Radha Vallabha Shri Radhe. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Paramahansa Prabhupada Stotra, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta, Swami Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Ananta Koti Vaishnavin ki. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and God, Guru Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Naranam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nasta Praishva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttamas Loke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So we are reading from Canto 9, Chapter 19, verse 12. Tataham kripana subhru Tataham kripana subhru Bhavatya prema yantrita Bhavatya premayantrita Atmanam nabhijanami Atmanam nabhijanami Mohitastava mayaya Mohitastava mayaya Tataham kripana subhru Bhavatya premayantrita Atmanam nabhijanami Mohitastava mayaya Tataham kripana subhru Bhavatya premayantrita Atmanam nabhijanami Mohitastava mayaya Tataham kripana Kripana subhru Bhavatya premayantrita Atmanam nabhijanami Mohitastava mayaya Tataham kripana subhru Bhavatya premayantrita Atmanam nabhijanami Mohitastava mayaya. Okay, word for word. Tataha. Exactly like the he goat. Aham. I. Kripana. A miser with no sense of the importance of life. Subhru. O my wife, with beautiful eyebrows. Bhavata. In your company, prema yantrita, as if tied in love, although it is actually lust. Atmanam, self-realization, what I am and what is my duty. Na abhijanami, I could not realize even until now. Mohita, being bewildered. Tava, your. Mayaya, by the materially attractive feature. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki Jai. O my dear wife, with beautiful eyebrows, I am exactly like that he-goat, for I am so poor in intelligence that I am captivated by your beauty and have forgotten the real task of self-realization. Please repeat. O my dear wife, with beautiful eyebrows, I am exactly like that he-goat, for I am so poor in intelligence that I am captivated by your beauty and have forgotten the real task of self-realization. Purport. If one remains a victim of the so-called beauty of his wife, his family life is nothing but a dark well. Hitvatma patam griham andakupam. Existence in such a dark well is certainly suicidal. if one wants relief from the miserable condition of material life, one must voluntarily give up his lusty relationship with his wife. Otherwise, there is no question of self-realization. Unless one is extremely advanced in spiritual consciousness, household life is nothing but a dark well in which one commits suicide. Prahlad Maharaj therefore recommended that in due time, at least after 50th year, one must give up household life and go to the forest. Vanam gato yad dharim ashriyeta. There one should seek shelter at the lotus feet of Hare. Om Agnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruhe Namah. Shri Caitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sahagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarobhesha Kripa Sindhu Bhavecha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Tataham kripana subru bhavatya prema yantrita atmanam nabhijanami mohitastava maya. O my dear wife with beautiful eyebrows, I am exactly like that he-goat. For I am so poor in intelligence that I am captivated by your beauty and have forgotten the real task of self-realization. So here, in this verse, there is a word called kripana. Kripana means miser, but Srila Prabhupada is translating it differently. It's amazing how Srila Prabhupada gives a meaning of the word in context to the pastime which is going on and what it really means. So generally we say it's the meaning of kripana is miser. But here Srila Prabhupada writes, a miser with no sense of the importance of life. So how can a miser be a person who has no sense of importance of life? So again, and in the translation, Srila Prabhupada is not touching the word miser at all. If you read the translation, I'll read it again, please hear carefully. Oh my dear wife with beautiful eyebrows, I'm exactly like that he-goat. For I am so poor in intelligence that I am captivated by your beauty and have forgotten the real task of self-realization. So there is nothing mentioned about the miser. So what does that kripana relate to in this translation? I'll read it again. Oh my dear wife with beautiful eyebrows, I am exactly like that he-goat. For I am so poor in intelligence that I am captivated by your beauty and have forgotten the real task of self-realization. Sorry? Poor in intelligence. So how can miser be poor in intelligence? Interesting, isn't it? How Srila Prabhupada relates the word kripana or miser to poor in intelligence. And what is he giving the explanation? A miser with no sense of importance of life. So we have all been given this opportunity, or most of the humans have been given this opportunity. Has been given, it's like you have been given $1 billion in your bank account. And then you live on the street begging for some cents. Or you are on the Flinders Street playing your piano or guitar or whatever, and you are begging for some cents. But you got $1 billion in your bank account. What is the person then called? Such a person is a kripana, miser, because he's not using the asset which has been given to him. So similarly, since we have got this human form of life, and if we don't use it for the real purpose, we are miser. And another interesting yantrita, which is mentioned, prema yantrita. Yantra means, I was searching for this word, yantra, in Sanskrit dictionary. And many times, if you do, or if you believe in Vastu Shastra, these people who are scholars in Vastu Shastra, they will come to your home and they will say, this direction is not good, this direction, these things are not right. And then they will, to fix those things, they will give you yantras. So these are like some designs and some on gold, or depending on how much donation you are able to give, they'll give you on different things. And you can put it on different directions. And that will balance the Vastu. So those are yantras. So what is yantra? An instrument. In Sanskrit, yantra means instrument. It is mentioned yantra, tantra, mantra. Yantra plus tantra becomes mantra. Something like that equation is there. But anyways, we'll stick to prema yantrita. So yantra means an instrument. And now here, Maharaj Yayati is mentioning that I have been captivated by your prema, by your love. But Srila Prabhupada is saying, although it is actually lust, it's not love. Prema yantrit. So there is a capacity, there is a, Devyani is compared to an instrument which can captivate Maharaj, which has captivated Maharaj Yayati. So this is interesting. We'll just understand the meaning so that when we come to the verse further, we can understand how one becomes captivated by yantra. Yantra means those devices which can balance things and which can correct things. And at the same time, they're just instruments, basically. And then it is mentioned, mohitas tava mayaya. One becomes bewildered by the material energy. So these are some of the things which are mentioned in this verse. And Srila Prabhupada is again translating this yantra and Maya, mohitas tava maya, as captivated by a beauty and have forgotten the real purpose of life, which is self-realization. So that's how one becomes captivated. One forgets his real task of self-realization. So it's interesting, we are at almost the end of 9th canto. And in 10th canto, what is going to happen? Lord Shri Krishna is going to appear. So the entire Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is a literal incarnation of Krishna. Krishna swadhamo pagate dharma gnanadivisa kalanasta drishyam esha puranarko aduno dita. So as Krishna left the planet along with religion and dharma and gnana, knowledge, religion and knowledge, this Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Bhagavad Puran has appeared, which will be the torch for the people of Kali Yuga who are in darkness. So it is mentioned, this Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, the first 2 cantos are the lotus feet of the Lord. The 3rd and 4th canto are the thighs. Please help me out here. 5th canto is the navel. 6th, you can speak, Sylvia. 6th canto is the chest. 7th and 8th canto are the arms. 9th canto is the throat. So we are at the throat right now. And we are studying 9th canto, so we are at the throat. And then as soon as we go up, comes the lotus-like face, which is the 10th canto. And then 11th canto is the forehead, and 12th canto is the crown or head, Sahasra Chakra. So like that, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is none different than the Lord's body. It is giving, right at the beginning, actually it's interesting, where does Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, how does Śrīmad Bhāgavatam appear in this context? There are many levels where we can go answer this question. But the entire Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, if you have studied the first canto, at the end of first canto, last chapter, anyone knows what's the number of the chapter? How many chapters are there in first canto? 19. So at the end of 19th chapter, Parikshit Maharaj asks 2 questions. So the entire Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is the answer to those 2 questions. So just those 2 questions have been elaborated into the entire 2nd to 9th or 10th, 11th, 12th as well. So the entire 12 cantos are then answer to those 2 questions basically. So what was the first question? What is the purpose of life, especially for a person who is about to die? For all people actually. What is the purpose of the goal of life for everyone, especially one who is about to die? Anyone in this room who is not going to die? Someone may say not now, but yeah, who knows? So what is the purpose of life, especially one who is about to die? This was the first question. And the second question was, what we should hear, chant, remember, and worship. So these are the 2 questions Parikshit Maharaj asked Sukadeva Goswami. And Sukadeva Goswami begins speaking right at the first verse of 2nd canto, and he glorified these 2 questions. He said, Varya Nishate Prashna Krita Loka Hitam Nripa Atmavit Samutha Pumsa Shrotavya Idishu Yaha Para. Yaha Para. This is the subject matter which is Para, which is talking about the Supreme. And whoever hears the answers to this question will be benefited. It is beneficial for everyone. So he glorifies this question. This is a very good question. Varya Nishata Prashna. And then immediately next verse, what does he say? Who are the people who are sitting there in the assembly of when Sukadeva Goswami is speaking? Who are those people? It is mentioned like all the sages in the first canto, and it is mentioned all the sages assembled. So who were the people? Sages. I answered the question. Right? All the sages assembled. So there were all the Narada, Vyasa, Devala, all those great personalities. Even Vyasadeva himself, who was wrote Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, was there. And then Parikshit Maharaj is there. So they are all exalted personalities. But what is Sukadeva Goswami beginning with? What is he saying? Right at the, after glorifying the question, the next verse he says, Shrotavya Dishu, Shrotavya Dini Rajendra Nirnam Santi Sahasrasha Apashyatam Atma Tatum Graheshu Graha Medinam. Like everybody was expecting, and Parikshit Maharaj is saying, please tell me how I can go back home, back to Godhead, how I can, what is the purpose of life for everyone. And what is Sukadeva Goswami beginning with? Graha Medinam. Grahashu Graha Medinam. So he's speaking about the Grahastha Ashram. How one should live in the Grahastha Ashram. And one should not become the Graha Medi. It is mentioned, who is materially engrossed, blind to the knowledge of ultimate truth. They have got many subject matters for hearing. So he's condemning the Grahastha Ashram, which is lived like a Graha Medi. One should not become, so there are 2 words in the purport. Srila Prabhupada explains there are 2 words. One is a Grahastha and other is a Graha Medi. So what is the difference between Grahastha and Graha Medi? Right, very good. So Grahastha is the one who has got the family, who has got children, who has got all the material, he deals with the material affairs, but he has got Krishna in the center. He is working, and Srila Prabhupada, that other places, Grahastha is better than a sannyasi if he is a devotee. Whereas a Grahamedi is the one who has got his material desires in the center. So here, Sukadeva Goswami is immediately beginning with Grahamedi. One should not become a Grahamedri. And then he speaks about Nidraya. What is the activity of a Grahamedi? Nidraya rakte naktam vyavayana cha vaya. Divacha arte rajan kutumba bhranenava. So at night he is either sleeping or indulging sexual, and this is all related to what we are hearing in the 9th canto. So from 2nd to 9th canto, we have been hearing about this particular few verses which Sukadeva Goswami gave a prelude to. Right? And, every canto we hear, this point has been hammered. How the Grahastha should not live like a Grahamedi. How a person should not become indulged into sex life. So here is saying at night, Nidraya Riyakta, at night the Grahamedi is indulged in sleeping or sexual activities, and in day what does he do? Either making money or looking after his family members. So these are the only activities he does. And then he said, Deha patra kalatradrishu atma sainyashva asatsavapi. Nidhanam tesham pramato nidhanam pashyan apina pashyati. Is dependent. He thinks this people, Deha patra kalatradrishu, my body, my wife, my children, my relatives are going to protect me. Atma Sainesha Asatswapi. He thinks they are all my soldiers. But what is Sukadeva Goswami comparing them to? Asatswapi. They are fallible. They are going to disappoint them. Pashyanapina pashyati. And even though he sufficiently experienced, and it's interesting again, Srila Prabhupada translates this Pashyanapina pashyati as, although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. So we have gone through this so many times, and we have been frustrated, not only in previous life but even in this life. We have been frustrated so many times by being dependent on all this Deha Patra Kalatradishu. How many people never had any disease or never have been to the doctor? We have served this body so nicely, but what is it giving us? Trouble, pain. It does not say, oh, since childhood you have looked after me so nicely, I'm going to reciprocate. No. As we get older, our visits to hospital and doctors increase, if not for us, for others. But this is, even although sufficiently experienced, we cannot see our inevitable destruction. So these are the first verses that Sukadeva Goswami is speaking Bhagavatam. He's not speaking about any transcendental subject matter. He's just speaking about materialistic life. He's warning Parikshit Maharaj. And why is he warning Parikshit Maharaj? Because unless, as Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in this purport, unless one gives up the tendency to enjoy material life, one cannot advance in spiritual life. There is material life and self-realization does not go hand in hand. One has to, it's like you've got two boats and you put your feet in each of the boat. What will happen? They'll split unless they are on the shore. If it is in water, then it will split. You cannot have, you have to lift one of the hands. Sometimes we do say we need to balance material and spiritual life. But to a level you can balance, but at one point you have to lift one of the legs. If you are serious in progressing spiritual life. And Srila Prabhupada is quoting here Prahlad Maharaj, Tat sadhu manye asura varya dehinam sadhu samudvigna diham asat grihnat hitvatam patam griham andhakupam vanam gato yad dharim ashrayat. Andhakupam. Prahlad Maharaj is comparing this materialistic life as andhakupam. Specifically, who is Prahlad Maharaj referring to? He is speaking to Hiranyakashipu. Is saying that your life is, or a person who is engaged Again, Graha Medhi is Andhakupam. It's like a blind well. And exactly this is what Yayati also mentioned in the last verses. Or in this verse also is mentioning that I have fallen into the trap, captivated by your eyebrows. And last it was like a well, dark well, where there is no water. It's interesting, His Holiness Devamrit Swami has these retreats, and I had a fortune to go in one of the retreats, and he shows videos and slideshows. And in one of the slideshow, he showed, and these are all like young boys and girls sitting, and he showed a very attractive woman on the slide. And Maharaj is saying, can you look at this woman? How beautiful she is. And everyone was looking, of course. But then said, if you are weak-hearted, don't look at the next slide. And then he moved on to the next slide. And that next slide was the same woman without the skin. And I can already see the expression. Oh. And when you see in real life, you can understand. And that, probably in that class, this is the only thing which hit me. I don't remember the verses Maharaj quote or anything else Maharaj must have spoken, but this one thing, it just hit me. So how much thickness, what is the thickness of our skin? You remember? Or you know? No science students? This was one of, if I would have been doctor, I would have been a skin doctor, because this was one of my favorite subjects in biology, skin. So it has got epidermis, dermis, then dermis is divided into stratum, 5 kind of stratums. Anyways, we won't go into that. But the thickness is 0.07 mm to 0.15 mm. 0.15 mm. It is mentioned like a thin paper. That's the thickness of a skin. And if you just peel off that from your body, you will not be attractive anymore. You won't be, people won't even want to see you. So that's the only layer which is making you look attractive. 0.007 to 0.15 if you are thick skin. There's some people say you are thick skin, right? So that is 0.15 maximum. So that is what makes one attractive. And so what is it that attracts you to a person or someone to a person? So it's just the perception. So the same person, even though the skin is there, body is there, everything is there, but if the person leaves the body, a person dies, what happens? That person is, however loving that person might be, you don't want to be in the room with that person anymore, alone. So immediately that body becomes, the dead body becomes non-attractive as soon as the soul leaves the body. So we can understand how it's just the perception of the person being there, and our attraction is just to the superficial skin. And Krishna elaborates this in the 3rd chapter, in the last part of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is elaborating. So what is it that makes one become attracted to the other person? Anyone? What is enemy number 1? Krishna says? Lust. Kama esha, krodha esha, rajoguna samudbhava, mahanaso, mahapapam, vidhi enam, iha vairinam. It is lust which is number 1 enemy. Krishna is saying that it is only lust. And then he further says, what are the levels of lust? It's like fire covered by smoke, the dust on the mirror, and child in the womb. Embryo covered by womb. So these are the 3 degrees of lust. So when a person, so we all have got some level of lust. Otherwise we wouldn't be in material world. Or if we had pure love for the Lord, we wouldn't be here. Of course, some of you might be here because you've come to deliver the others. So that is a different case, but those are only exceptions. But most of us are here because we are having the lusty feelings. So these are the three levels, and Krishna analyzes this lust very nicely to identify what level you are in and what level you can reduce that lust to. So for the first, the layer is fire covered by smoke. That's the lowest level of lust. And that Krishna and Srila Prabhupada is translating as one who is in the human form of life. The fire is good, fire is required, but that fire has to be ignited more and more. The fire is not ignited more, then there will be a lot of smoke. So if the fire burns very heavily, then the smoke reduces. So that fire is compared to the love, prema of the Lord. So if one becomes more and more attracted to the Lord, or one performs devotional service, bhakti, then that fire increases and smoke reduces. Fire is more prevalent. And then second layer is mentioned, which is more denser, is mirror covered by dust. So when the mirror, you go in front of a mirror where it's not been cleaned for a long time, then your image becomes blurred. You cannot see who you really are. So the thing is, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, Bhava Dhani Nirvapanam, Shreya Kairava Chandrika, Vitanam Vidya Vadu, Jivanam. And so we need to cleanse the mirror. Once we cleanse the mirror, then we can see who we are again. And so that is a higher level. And then the third level is embryo within the womb. And embryo cannot do much. In the womb, a child cannot do much. And it is compared, the trees are compared to that level. Unfortunately, they don't have a lot of freedom to progress in devotional life. But at least the first level, fire covered by dust, we can progress in spiritual life. So Krishna is giving this analogies. And then what is Krishna saying? That kama rupena kamtaya dushpurina nalena cha. So he's saying that senses, mind, indriya, mano, buddhir. So these are the three sitting places of this lust. Indriya is the senses, mano is the mind, and buddhir is the intelligence. And further at the end of this chapter, Krishna is saying that who is the supreme? The soul is the supreme. It is supposed to control the intelligence. And intelligence is superior to the mind. And mind is superior to the senses. So that's a progression. But what we are in at the moment is the other way. The sense objects are controlling the senses. When we go out on the streets, driving or somewhere, we see these billboards, or when we are watching our mobile or something, we see all these advertisements coming up. So these are just, we become attracted immediately to looking what's next, or what is this, how can I enjoy this. So the sense objects control the senses, and then senses send the signal to the mind, I want this. If I get this, I'll be happy. If I can have this, it will be the best for me. So that perception of this will make me happy, the mind then tells the intelligence, you make the plan to attain this. So right now we are in the reverse order of control. So the soul can be made powerful by spiritual knowledge, by practice of devotional service. And then once the soul becomes, when the intelligence becomes controlling the mind and the senses, then we can purify our existence, the lust reduces. And so Krishna is saying, curb this in the beginning, indriya adho niyaman. So how can we control this lust? By regulating the senses. Krishna is saying by regulating the senses right in the beginning, curb this great symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the senses and slay this destroyer of knowledge, of self-realization. So by regulating the senses, we can control this lust. It's interesting. There are few stories I wanted to mention, but I think we'll run out of time. But I'll quickly mention this pastime right from second canto. We are hearing different pastimes which exemplify this lust in the human form of life. Does anyone remember some of the pastimes where this is said how we can be careful to avoid lust? One of the example, of course, this is Yayati, how he is able to understand at the end, after enjoying for so many years, he is able to understand how he has wasted all his time in not focusing on self-realization. This is what the verse is. Then other pastime was Puranjana. So Puranjana pastime was also there, where Maharaj Prachinabhari, Narada Muni is speaking to Maharaj Prachinabhari and telling him how one should not. Puranjana becomes a woman in his next life because of his attachment to woman. And the entire 9th canto actually, all these pastimes we hear are basically warning us before we can see the lotus-like face of the Lord, that what we have to give up so that we can be attracted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so that we can become attracted to Krishna in 10th canto. Then another pastime was Ajamil. Just by looking, he was raised in a Brahmana family, raised in a good cultured family, but just by looking at someone associating in the forest, he fell down. Imagine our condition. This was a different yuga, and it was happening very rarely. Our condition is, we are brought up into the culture where this is openly happening. So it's a dangerous situation at the moment. So what is the remedy? Srila Rupa Goswami in Nectar of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is mentioning, my dear friend, if you are indeed attached to the worldly friends, do not look at the smiling face of Lord Govinda, who stands on the bank of Yamuna at Keshighat. Casting sidelong glances, he places his flute on his lips, which seem like the newly blossomed twigs. His transcendental body, bending in 3 places, appear very bright in the moonlight. So sarcastically, Srila Rupa Goswami is mentioning. So if you are attracted or attached to your materialistic way of life, don't go to Vrindavan, to the bank of Yamuna, to Keshighat, where this boy in 3 bending form, standing, playing his flute, attracting. Srila Prabhupada is giving in the purport in Chaitanya Chamrita, he's attracting all the gopis. So don't look at his face, otherwise your material life will be finished. So this is what is required. And in that purport, Srila Prabhupada is quoting Vidyapati, who was the learned poet of Mithila. He's saying that we all are in the desert. And when you are in a desert, you have got a bottle of water when you are thirsty, and you look into the bottle of water, there is only 1 drop of water. So what will be the situation? Are you going to be happy that, oh, I've got 1 drop of water? No, even if you try to quench your thirst, it will not help you. So this is our situation. We are in the material world, which is compared to the desert, and trying to experience happiness here and there, which is compared to the drop of water. And Krishna consciousness is the ocean of water, sweet water. It is mentioned, Krishna consciousness is the ocean, reservoir of water. And when you get that, you will not even care for the drop of water. So one has to practice devotional service, by which one becomes attracted to the Lord, and one can give up this material miseries, material attraction. Okay, I'll stop here. Are there any questions, comments? Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the nice class. Prabhu, you mentioned how from the start of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, only we've been hearing that the goal of life is self-realization and love of Godhead. And now, I mean, we're at ninth canto, and we've heard all the stories, and that sense keeps coming back to us that, the goal is this and we should only focus on this. But when we see the material things around us, that they look attractive to us. So how do we make sure that we maintain the taste for the spiritual side of activities instead of getting allured by these material things?
Yeah, so how to continue devotional service and not become distracted. So there are a lot of things which come into play here. One of the things is our conditioning from previous lives. Not everyone in this room or in the entire universe is on the same level. So everyone is on a different platform and having a different baggage. So the more heavier the baggage you have of the previous lives, the more hard work you have to do to get off those baggages or conditioning, as we say. So, and how long does it take to become pure, where you don't get distracted again? Srila Prabhupada says, one moment. It just takes one moment. And all the scriptures like Nectar of Devotion and other pastimes we have heard. So they all mention, like, if one is sincere, it takes one moment for one to become pure devotee. You know the pastime of Bilvamangal Thakur, right? So Bilvamangal Thakur was attracted to the prostitute. That even on the day when his father passed away, he was crossing the ocean in the storm, taking the shelter of a dead body, holding onto the dead body, climbing the tree, thinking the snake as a rope, and then getting into the house of a prostitute. And then prostitute just mentioned one thing: if you would have had that much love for Lord, you would have been liberated. And that one statement immediately changed to the level that when he became attracted to some woman, he even plucked his eyes. So imagine the change that happened in a moment. So that is what, as devotees, so to answer your question, is we practice devotional service. It's not like we should jump like from tomorrow I'll give up everything and I'll just sit in the temple, chant 64 rounds, read the entire Bhagavatam in a day or whatever. So we don't have to jump, we have to do it gradually, because we are not at the stage where we can give up things. What does Krishna say to Arjuna? Even if you give up this because you're born of a nature, you will not be able to give up. Again, you won't be able to stay in forest. You will still act because of your modes you have acquired. So first we have to understand that what modes the entire Bhagavad Gita is speaking, and especially if you have read the later chapters 15, 16, 17, like we understand it's all about the modes. And it speaks about what modes you are in, to understand what modes you are in. And then you rise from those modes to come to mode of goodness, where you can practice devotional service without distraction, disturbance. So at that point, then you can advance. So there you don't fall down. Of course, there is always a chance for falling down. We understand from Bharat Maharaj pastime. But at the same time, there is a network of devotees. There is a network of the process that Srila Prabhupada has given us, which is like holds us to continue in the devotional life. So, of course, it's not easy to say that I will always be fixed in devotional service. From now on, I have attained a stage where I will not fall down. There is always a chance of falling down. There is a nice pastime, probably you might already know, so I'll tell in. So Narad Muni was very proud that he's Narad Muni, basically. He's a Naishtik Brahmachari, he's fixed in, he's always chanting the holy names of the Lord. And then once he goes to meet Lord Narayan, and he says, what is this Maya? How can Maya bewilder someone? Because he was on a pure platform, so he thought, why are these people being entangled into the clutches of Maya? Why can't they just chant and come to my level or something like that? And so he had that desire to understand Maya. So Lord said, okay, let's go for a walk. And then they go into the forest for a walk. And Narad Muni had a desire for thirst. He became thirsty after walking for a while. And then he said, my Lord, I'm feeling thirsty. And the Lord said, there is a river there. You can go and drink water and come back. I'll stand here. So Narad Muni goes. And then when he reaches the river, he sees a person who was a boatman. And as Narad Muni is going to drink water, the boatman says, oh, Narad Muni, what are you doing? You're drinking directly from the river. Why don't you come to my place? Sit in my house. I'll serve you nicely. So Narad Muni goes with him in the house, sits with him. And this boatman had a daughter. And then daughter serves Narad Muni fruits, vegetables, fruits and water and everything. Narad Muni becomes attracted to this woman, this daughter. And then eventually they get married, and then Narad Muni has got a son, and then the son is playing, Narad Muni is making boats now, and then the wife is helping him. So the Grahastha life starts. And then one day he hears a noise of someone falling into the river. And the wife goes, and she also jumps into the river. And then Narad Muni sees both the son and the wife are drowning and flowing into the river. Narad Muni also jumps. At that point, he had his veena and he's trying to throw the veena to wife and child, and they all drown. And Narad Muni is immediately shouting, Narayan, Narayan, Narayan. And he's next to Lord Narayan then. And what does Lord Narayan say? So you understand what Maya is like? So this was all Maya arranged by the Lord, so that Narad Muni can understand what happens when one forgets the Lord. And what happens when one remembers the Lord and chants in the mood of Narayan in the helpless condition, as Azamil was chanting. Immediately Narayan is there. It is all illusory, basically. So, just to answer that question. Any other questions? Yes, bro.
Can I just add a couple of things?
Sorry?
Can I just add a couple of things?
Yeah.
I think, is it the Bhagavad Gita or Śrīmad Bhāgavatam? I forgot the Sanskrit, but the Bhagavatam also says, by rendering devotional service, one automatically acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. So, if we engage in devotional service, automatically we'll become detached from the world.
Yes.
And also, Prabhupada often said that sometimes we've already fallen down. That's why we're in the material world. But Prabhupada often said that we become diseased. So Krishna consciousness is about becoming healthy again. But we have a tendency to become diseased because it's just a natural tendency. So we have to just try to stay healthy in spiritual life, Krishna consciousness. But the tendency to become diseased is always there. But we just have to try to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And also, you're talking about the senses and the mind, intelligence, how there are different levels. But it's interesting that the Vedas say that the mind is actually manifested from the mode of goodness. Intelligence is manifested from the mode of passion, senses the mode of ignorance. So it's just interesting that the mind is actually from the mode of goodness. But I think because intelligence is very active.
That's right.
So that's why it's in the mode of passion. Yeah.
It can control the mind.
Yeah.
But right now it's the other way. Our mind is more passionate and intelligence is in the ignorance. So it's covered. Intelligence is not spiritual intelligence. It is material intelligence. So we have learnt everything how to deal with material energy, but we don't know how to deal with spiritual energy, and we are spiritual. So it's a different science.
Yeah. And Krishna says also in the Gita that I'm the mind as well, doesn't he?
That's right.
Yeah. And intelligence is the next door neighbour to the soul.
Yes.
So there's many different
That's right.
kind of paradoxical statements. Yeah.
Yes.
But great class with it. Thank you.
Thank you, bro. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you for the class. So Prabhuji, during the class you mentioned about if you're like devotees and at one point we have to choose between material life or spiritual life. So if you're like students or grihastha who's like working, then at that point is dovetailing. For like if you're practicing bhakti, like dovetailing, whatever we do
Yeah, so
is
when I said you have to choose between material life and spiritual life, that doesn't mean that you stop studying or working, or eating or breathing, because they are all material. My body is material, so I'll not look after my body. Yeah, so I did not mean that. So what I mean is, you change your activities so that they are all spiritual. You work for the Lord. So it's interesting, Bhagavad Gita. Let me see if I've got that. I don't think I have it here. But basically, Krishna is saying on different levels how one can serve. I don't think I've got it. Yeah, I don't think I've got it. Yeah, but basically what we have to do is dovetail all our activities so they become Krishna conscious. So everything you can eat, so what do? We offer. And we offer only those things which Krishna says he can eat, which is in the mode of goodness. And then immediately it becomes transcendental, it becomes spiritual. So we work, we give, whatever we need we keep, and then we give the remnants to for Krishna consciousness. We use that wealth for Krishna consciousness. So we dovetail all our activities so that they are spiritual. So we don't stop doing things, but we change the perspective. We don't work for us, we work for the Lord. So that is, Krishna becomes the center. Instead of Graha Medi, we become Grahasthas. Okay, we'll stop here. Granthra Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Thank you.
हमारे गाएंगे, लोग माला कर रहे हैं, ये लोग सब माला कर रहे हैं. Repeat after me now. Madhuram madhurebhyopi madhuram madhurebhyopi madhuram madhurebhyopi madhuram madhure Mangalebhyopi mangalam Mangalebhyopi mangalam Pavanam pavanebhyopi Harer nameva kevalam Pavanam pavanebhyopi Harer nameva kevalam Oh pavanam pavanebhyopi Harer nameva kevalam Pavanam pavanebhyopi Hare nameva kevalam Abrahmastambha paryantam Abrahmastambha paryantam